In this video, you will find the leadership philosophy, leadership action plan, and leadership goals for Amber Stevens. Developing my philosophy statement, I asked myself a few questions. 1, what are the values I think are the most important in life and business? 2, what are my personal strengths and weaknesses when it comes to values and behaviors? And 3, what do I feel are the priorities of a leader? These questions I was able to find from Anastasia 2018, page 8. One of my values is honesty. I believe that being honest and truthful with everyone that you deal with, whether they are your boss, your leader, or a coworker, it's very important to keep that dialogue honest and truthful. Once you start to be dishonest or lie, then you no longer have the trust of those around you, especially when you may need their trust. They may not be able to trust the words that you're telling them, how you're getting your work done. Honesty is very important when it comes to leadership and in regards to the work environment. Respect kind of goes along with honesty. When you're building that trust, then you're also building respect for your coworkers, your followers, and for your leaders. In order for anyone to want to follow your leadership, they must respect you. They need to respect your values. They need to respect that you're going to treat them fairly, and they need to respect that you're going to treat them honestly. I think that hard work goes without saying. As a leader, you are showing by example, and if you are putting in a lot of hard work, then your followers will also put in hard work to get the job done. Now, just because you're putting in a lot of hard work does not mean that you can't enjoy your company, the people that you work with, and have a little bit of fun, but it does mean that you, at the end of the day, you got the work done that needed to be done to the standard that it needed to be done. Dedication is also very important, especially as a leader. If your followers do not feel like you are dedicated to the work that you're doing, to their personal growth, to your personal growth, to the customers or patients that you're serving, then it will be very difficult for them to follow the decisions that you make and the requests that you make of your followers. To me, harmony is also a very important value. I believe that in order to have a very productive office work environment, there needs to be harmony amongst those that you are working with. If your followers do not feel that they can come to you with any of their problems or concerns, then it's going to be very difficult for you as a leader to find out what those problems are and to correct them while they're small. If they can't come to you with any of their questions, then it's going to allow those problems to continue to get bigger until you have a bigger problem on your hands. Also, people enjoy working in a harmonious environment. They enjoy working with people that they get along with, that there's no contention. When people are working in an environment where they feel happy, they're going to do their best work and they're going to give you better outcomes. Some of my personal strengths are confidence, personal connections. Once I get to know someone, I get to know them very well on that personal level. A sense of fairness. I like to make sure everybody is treated equally as much as possible. I know that is not always possible, but I like to give everyone equal opportunities. I'm not swayed by others' opinions. I have my own opinions, and other people cannot persuade me to change those opinions. However, I do listen to others' opinions, and I take those into account. Intelligence, emotional intelligence, patience. I feel like I am very supportive of my coworkers. I am very reliable. I'm very observant. I'm that type of person that likes to sit back and observe and see how everyone else is acting and interacting so that I know how I should proceed. And I am very hardworking. Some of my weaknesses: I can be very shy, which can also appear with my confidence that I may be snobbish or stuck up. I have had people who I later became friends with tell me that they were afraid of me when they first met me. And I think it is because of that shyness, but I also do have that confidence. But because I'm shy, I'm very quiet. Like I said, as part of my strengths, I'm very observant as well. So I kind of sit back and observe and see what else is happening. But to other people, they can feel that this is ingenuine or that I might be a little bit stuck up. But reality is, it's just that I am can have some shyness. Sometimes I can take on too much responsibility and then don't ask for help when needed. I do avoid conflict whenever possible. I am getting better at that, but I do like to have our harmonious environment, and I don't like to have that conflict, but I do understand that sometimes there are instances where you may need to have a little bit of conflict to resolve a situation quickly instead of letting that situation get worse. Sometimes I underestimate my potential, or I don't take credit for things that I have done, so that I underestimate my potential to maybe my boss or employer. And then I have a tendency to not think out of the box. I can have some creativity, but I am used to those structures, and I tend to stick more to those structures. By listing all my strengths and weaknesses and what my philosophy and values are, I'm able to compare myself to different leadership styles. This reminds me of a quote from Increasing Transformational Leadership Through Enhancing Self-Efficiency. In this article, they're talking about transformational leadership. And it says that transformational leadership, a motivational leadership style, which invokes presenting a clear organizational vision and inspiring employees to work towards this vision through establishing connections with employees, understanding employees' needs, and helping employees reach their potential, contributes to good outcomes for an organization. Adaptive emotional functioning, defined as emotional intelligence, may be a foundation for the development of transformational leadership, making individuals more receptive to development of this leadership style. Self-efficiency is the belief that one can successfully show a set of behaviors in order to bring about a good outcome. Self-efficiency for showing transformational leadership characteristics may be a vehicle for increasing transformational leadership and may interact with emotional intelligence and bringing about positive outcomes. You'll see in this video how a lot of my personality traits follow along these lines of thinking very closely. It allows me to have the confidence to know that I have the traits necessary to be a good transformational leader. There's another leadership style that I relate very closely to, and that is the authentic leadership style. In the article Linking Theory to Practice, Authentic Leadership, it talks about 5 dimensions that authentic leaders should possess. It includes passion, values, relationships, self-discipline, and heart. Again, I believe that I have a lot of these qualities when I took my personality test, which we will talk about later in this video. A lot of things about authentic leadership was also very closely aligned with transformational leadership. As authentic leaders lead with their hearts and they learn from their own experiences and other people's experiences, they use those personal connections that they develop to get those experiences through themselves and through others. And part of transformational leadership is developing people and developing relationships so that you can help your followers grow. So I believe they do come in hand. There's a quote from the article Linking Theory to Practice, Authentic Leadership, that ties in how your personal characteristics are used in the authentic leadership style. It says that understanding these personal characteristics, values, and motives provides the ability to relate to others and control emotions, and more specifically, to balance and develop transparent and strong relationships. These self-aware leaders then lead organizations in environments that are inclusive and caring and help develop others to discover these self-awareness characteristics. The humanness of a person also helps define them as an authentic leader. As I talked about before, some of my key values relate specifically to this. Being honest, having harmony, having respect. All those things will develop an authentic leader and to build that relationship with their followers. I feel priorities of a leader are to give directions, set expectations, coach individuals when needed, listen to new ideas and suggestions, and have open communication, and then to be an example to their followers. Based on my answers to those questions, I developed a leadership philosophy based on 4 core elements: theory, attitude, principles, and behavior. These 4 elements also came from Anesthesia 2018, page 11. When it comes to theory, I believe respecting everyone and treating everyone with fairness is important. I believe in having a harmonious workplace where everyone can feel comfortable and confident to be themselves with no repercussions. As far as attitude, my thoughts will be positive and my words will be encouraging. I want to have my thoughts be focused and my words be honest and direct. As I talked about before, honesty and respect is very important when it comes to leadership. With principles, I will lead with confidence and hard work. I'll lead by example by developing personal connections and listening to the opinions of others. So by using some of those strengths that I mentioned before, I'll use those principles to help in my leadership abilities. As far as my behavior, I expect to overcome my shyness and not avoid conflict in situations when it is necessary, and I expect to keep a balance and ask for help in situations when I do need it. For my leadership action plan, I learned a lot about myself by taking a personality test on 16personalities.com. And this test is based on the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. By taking this test, I was determined to be the Defender personality, which is an ISFJ, which means I have strong personality types for introversion, sensing, feeling, and judgment. By learning about myself through this personality test, I was able to see more clearly my strengths and weaknesses and was able to develop a leadership action plan based on this personality type. This quote was found on 16 Personalities 2018. It is used to describe the Defender personality. It says that they are very dedicated and warm protectors, always ready to defend their loved ones. The Defender personality type is quite unique, as many of their qualities defy the definition of their individual traits. Though sensitive, Defenders have excellent analytical abilities. Though reserved, they have well-developed people skills and robust social relationships. And though they are generally a conservative type, Defenders are often receptive to change and new ideas. As with so many things, people with Defender personality types are more than the sum of their parts, and it is the way that they use these strengths that defines who they are. Defenders are true altruists, meeting kindness with kindness in excess and engaging the work and people they believe in with enthusiasm and generosity. On the 16 Personalities site, they list other famous people who have the same personality type. Some of those people are Halle Berry, Vin Diesel, Kate Middleton, Anne Hathaway, and Selena Gomez. Like I said, there was a couple of celebrities that have the same personality type as I do, but the one that really stood out to me and the one that I have felt a connection with is Kate Middleton. One of the reasons is we are very close in age. We're only 14 months apart. She grew up with a coal mining influence in her family. A lot of her family members were coal miners. And the little town that I grew up in Utah, is a coal mining community. You either worked in the coal mine or at the power plant. So I feel like we have that same background information as well. And then she is the oldest child with 2 younger siblings, and I am also the oldest. Growing up, I had 2 younger brothers until I was about 16 years old. Then my mom had 2 brothers younger than me. But growing up, I felt like it was really just the 3 of us, me and my 2 younger brothers, which would be a similar situation to Kate Middleton. I also really admire her strength and her presence. She has a lot of determination and kindness that she shows to other people without taking her celebrity status or her monetary status to flaunt that in front of people. She uses it for good. Kate Middleton and I were both pregnant with boys at the same time, and they were born within a month of each other. We were both pregnant with a girl at the same time, and they were born 5 months of each other. I too experienced severe morning sickness my entire pregnancy, called hyperemesis gravidarum, for both pregnancies. Just like Kate Middleton had to be hospitalized for severe morning sickness, I was sick with morning sickness my entire pregnancy and had to take medications to avoid being in the hospital. So I feel like this is also something that we have in common. This information was found on biography.com 2018. Some of the qualities that I admire are her confidence and desire to be educated. As royalty, she'll never be expected to have a career, but she continues to study art and photography. She uses her position to bring awareness to mental health issues, and she helped to launch a website for teachers in schools to seek help in the area of mental health. She also visited the Maurice Wool Clinical Neuroscience Institute of King's College London to explore the links between pregnancy and mental health issues, found on biography.com 2018. Because Kate went to visit the Neuroscience Institute to study the link between pregnancy and mental health issues, that makes me wonder if any of her children are showing signs of autism or another mental health condition. I have not seen any evidence to corroborate this theory, but I know that we are passionate about things that are personal to us, and I believe that this is the same for her. Especially since we both had the morning sickness our entire pregnancy, and then when something happens to our children, we think that it may have been something that we did while we were pregnant. My son is currently being tested for autism, and my daughter has developmental delays. Both are nonverbal, and I have often wondered if there was something that I could have changed while I was pregnant. Because I was so sick during my pregnancy, I had to take medication daily, and I wonder if this medication had an effect on them. Because Kate was also very sick, I'm sure there was different medications that she needed to take, and she could wonder about the effects on her children. This is speculation, as they keep the children protected from the media, as they should. I'm going to discuss some of the traits of the defender personality that I see in myself. One that I see in myself is always get the job done on time. I may sometimes procrastinate, but I always make sure that an assignment is done on time and that it is done meticulously. I take great pride in the work that I do, and I am harder on myself than my boss or coworkers could be on me. I take my responsibilities personally. I go above and beyond to exceed expectations. Not only will I do a job, but I will make sure that the job is done exactly as it should be or better than it should be. It will be done to my expectations, not just the expectations of others. I am naturally social for an introvert. This can be confusing to me personally at times, as there are situations where I feel like I am very social and get along with people very well. But then there are other times where I feel like I am an introvert and I would prefer to sit back and watch and observe and see how other people interact before I interact with them. I have an excellent memory to remember people and details about their lives. I can remember a face or a voice. I may not always remember their name, but I can remember details that they tell me about their lives. And this helps me to relate to them, and it helps me remember the connection that we had personally the next time that I meet them. I also have the ability to connect with others on an intimate level. Some of the strengths of a defender personality are they are supportive and strive for win-win situations. Again, like I talked about before, I like fairness and I try to be very fair, and I want everyone to be happy, and so I strive to look for those situations where everybody can walk away feeling satisfied. They choose empathy over judgment when possible. They are reliable and patient. This means that they are meticulous and careful, but you can be flexible when the situation needs it, and they ensure things are done to the highest standard and beyond what is required. Imaginative and observant. This means they use their imagination as an accessory to empathy to see others' emotional states and see things from others' perspectives. This means that although they are very confident in themselves, they are able to look at other people and see the other side of the story as well before making a judgment or decision. They're enthusiastic, which means their altruism is applied to their strengths towards something that they believe will make a difference in people's lives. And I can see this, especially looking at Kate Middleton, when she's trying to influence how people view mental health. That's something that's important to her, and she's using her strengths and her abilities to make a difference in people's lives. A lot of times, people with defender personalities will choose a healthcare field or an education field where they feel like they are making a difference and helping people. One thing that I have done is I've started a YouTube video on teaching signing to kids with special needs. Because my children are both nonverbal, I've started to teach myself and my children sign language. And it's something that I had to learn on my own because there's not a lot of resources out there for children with special needs who are not deaf to learn sign language. So I'm hoping that by doing this, I can help other parents out there who are also struggling to communicate with their nonverbal children. Some other strengths of the defender personality is they are loyal and hardworking. They form an emotional attachment to the ideas and organizations they've dedicated themselves to. Now, for me, this only goes as far as that person or organization is dedicated to me as well. I can be very loyal unless you keep proving to me that I shouldn't be, and then my loyalty will go away. Defender personalities also have good practical skills. They have the practical sense to actually do something with all this altruism. So instead of just having an idea to help somebody, they actually put into motion how to help somebody, and they go and do it. When I did that interview for our leadership project, she said, if not me, then who? And I believe that is a philosophy of the defender personality. If they're not going to do it, then who else will? Some of the weaknesses for a defender personality is being humble and shy. Sometimes they don't make their own thoughts known or take credit for their contributions. They can repress their feelings. They're very private and very sensitive. They internalize their feelings, which can lead to stress and frustration. I have found this in myself. I know that I do repress those feelings, and at times I feel like I can be emotionless, or if we're in a situation where someone else is very emotional and I am not showing any emotion. But it's not that I don't have those emotions and those feelings, it's just that I don't express them. Part of that would probably be out of my shyness and not wanting to open up my own private feelings for others to see. Defender personalities can also overload themselves. They have an aversion to emotional conflict, which creates a situation where it's far too easy to overload themselves as they struggle to meet everyone's and their own expectations. They're too altruistic. Sometimes being too altruistic is a hindrance. They are willing to let things slide because they believe things will get better soon, and they don't want to burden others by accepting that help. So I started out with just 2 goals for my leadership goals. I feel like if you have too many goals, it would be very complicated and very hard to fully invest all your time in improving on too many goals. If you have a few goals that you can work on those ones, and once you have reached those goals, then you can set new goals to constantly improve yourself. But if you have too much, it could be overwhelming, and then you may not get any of your goals done. So that's why I started out with just 2 goals. The goals that I chose are areas that I feel like I am the weakest as far as leadership goes. Some of the things that I really would like to work on is being able to introduce myself in new situations. There are times when I feel like I'm very good at this, and then there's other times, especially in new situations, where I feel like I can be a little bit shy and reserved and anxious, and so I don't go and introduce myself to people like I should. And I feel like if I can work on that goal and overcome those anxieties and shyness, then I can make new connections with people and maybe even find a mentorship through putting my foot forward and making that first step. For my second goal, I really wanted to work on not avoiding conflict in my personality type. That is one thing, and I've seen it throughout my life as well, is that I like to have everything harmonious, and I try to avoid conflict. In some situations that could be a good thing. We don't want to have conflict when we're in a work environment. However, there are times where as a leader, you're going to have to speak to somebody about something that they are doing wrong, and you're going to have to confront them, and that might be a very uncomfortable situation. But if you don't confront the situation from the beginning and head on, then it could make that situation become worse and make that conflict even harder later on down the road. So if you cannot avoid conflict situations and you can address them head on, it could make the harmony and solve the issue right away so that things can go back to working the way that they should be and everybody can work in a happy environment.